Hello, Tim from Fairplay now on the 25th of November 2021, and I'm going to hit you with 3 bits of positivity right now. Last couple of videos have been a little bit on the downer side, but this morning I was listening to a short video put out by a very kind of happy looking youngish Aussie guy, and he was saying that certain politicians and senators in the Australian government are kind of beginning to say that they will not be voting with the government or voting against the government on various mandates to do with the lurgy. And he was saying that the same kind of things are starting to come into place that they had in the 1975 Australian constitutional crisis, where the then Prime Minister was ousted. And he sort of learnt that from this guy today, that happened. But he says the same kind of set of criteria are dropping into place, and he was very hopeful that either the Australian sort of leadership are going to have to just drop all of their kind of lurgy nonsense, or the Prime Minister is going to be ousted. So he seemed quite confident about that. If you're sort of in Oz, or you know what's going on there and you can sort of shed light on that, please leave a kind of comment in the comment section below to verify that. But that would be positive news if that is in fact what is beginning to transpire. I know there are at least a few of the senators there beginning to speak out about the whole nonsense, so I'm hopeful that it is at least partially true. Moving on, I've just been watching a video here by a guy called Maajid Nawaz, who has a slot on Saturdays on LBC, the LBC radio station, and he was saying on the last Saturday the 20th, probably around the time I was shopping in London, he was really coming out with some real truth bombs on that show, on all the things that we know and have known for months and months on end. Things like the big V doesn't stop you from either getting or transmitting the lurgy. But also he was saying things like the November Hotel Sierra, the head of that has admitted that at no time during the so-called nonsense were they kind of overrun. And also he was saying that there is evidence now coming from the governments, in fact, not just from anywhere, but from the governments and the things like the Welsh Assembly and the Scottish Parliament, that the big V passports are not making any difference. There's now evidence, because those things have been in place in those two countries for over a month now, and the evidence is coming in that it's not making any difference whatsoever. And yeah, he was coming out with all these truth bombs, 1 or 2 others as well, which have slipped my mind at the moment. But the point is, LBC is a reasonably mainstream outlet. Doesn't matter what you think of them, whether you think they're a bunch of idiots or whether you sort of like LBC. The point is that a lot of people up and down the country who are very much with the mainstream narrative are now hearing the likes of this guy here coming out with these truth bombs, So, and I know for one, sort of my mum, who's very much with the mainstream narrative, she listens to LBC. So I don't know if she caught this guy speaking. Hopefully she did, because she'd have got a few truth bombs from a mainstream source, other than, yeah, and not just from the likes of me and the so-called sort of crazy sources that I get my sort of news from. So this kind of news is getting into the mainstream population now, and that is all to the good, and I think it is why more and more people are waking up to the whole nonsense. And I'm just hoping now, coupled with that Australian thing as well, I'm just hoping that the narrative is very close to collapsing. And I said a few videos ago, probably about 2 weeks ago in actual fact, that I saw someone who was saying that they were predicting that the kind of way forward from this, the solution for all of this won't be coming to Australia, it will be coming from Australia. And if something happens there with another constitutional crisis, and the PM there is ousted, and hopefully a more sort of anti-narrative government comes into place there, that will be the trailblazer, won't it? And every other sort of country will start saying, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here in Australia, and why aren't we doing that? So that prediction that guy made, that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, may well come true. Anyway, I'm hopeful, and I'll leave you just with one last little bit of positivity as well. I believe I reported on this again probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but a sort of guy called Lee from the Veritas Vincit channel, who I've recommended his channel a few times, and he had a bit of argy-bargy with his dentist a couple of weeks ago. He went in there first of all for kind of a checkup and to see about having some work done, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and he was asked to put one of those on, and he refused because he's very much like me. He doesn't believe in them, and he was allowed to go into his appointment, even though they were kicking up a little bit of a fuss. And then the second time he went there, to have the actual work done, they really came down on him hard for not doing that. And the upshot of that is he was refused his treatment, so he had to go away again without getting his treatment. So he didn't take it lying down. He stood up for himself, and I think he managed to get some the help of a solicitor, and he kind of sent a letter, or the solicitor did, and he then went in there. I think it was today. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was today. He went in there for his treatment, and the staff there must have got a proverbial kick in, because he went in there. They were all nice as pie to him. He didn't have to do that, and he got his treatment. So that is, I know it's just like a small thing, it's a very small victory, but it just shows you that if you get this nonsense, and if you stand your ground, you don't just take it lying down, you stand your ground, positives can come out of the situation. Little victories can come out of this situation. So I hope that's a message of hope for you. Don't take these things lying down. Just fight them, fight them, fight them. If they're asking you to do that, fight it. If they're asking you to do that, otherwise you're out of your job, fight it. And I think if lots and lots and lots and lots of people start doing that, start fighting these things, many of them at least, are going to get the same kind of victorious result that Lee got. And the more that happens, of course, the more we take down the mainstream narrative and the sooner the nonsense ends. So Lee, if you're watching, and he watches most of my videos, I think, well done for that, and I'm proud of you, mate. So on that positive note, I'll leave it. Be back tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.